Hello everyone, this is Professor Vigneron, and today I will be talking about the basic concept of the pricing methods. So pricing is one of the 4 P's with product, place, and promotion. It's actually the only P that does not cost anything, in the sense that you don't have to spend money to generate the pricing. The pricing is an internal decision that is based on some parameters. The concept of pricing and the method of defining what's the price, what the price should be, is based on the minimum price would be the minimum being the cost, and the absolute maximum will be the maximum that you can sell the product based on the maximum value that people would perceive the price to be. So this maximum value is very dependent on the supply and demand, and the more there's people wanting a product and less a product available, the higher the perceived value it would be. So as a business, it's always very important to create the need before you define and you promote a price. So this price is very much a function of the situation of internal situation of the business, such as in what situation you are. Is this a product that you have excess right now, and are you in a stable financial situation? Are you going to try to survive, and therefore the decision of the price you're going to have is very dependent on this. Do you have some competitors, many competitors? How are the prices of your competitors? All of this is very, very important. Are you trying to gain market share? Are you trying to increase your prices? Are you trying to change people perceive value and perceive quality of your product? Are you functioning in a way that you want to increase your profit as well? So all of these different reasons internally will influence on what kind of methods of pricing that you will use. When you're looking at what's affecting the prices, is you have obviously the costs. The costs are divided in 2 types of costs, the fixed cost and the variable cost. The fixed costs are what does not change with the amount of product that you will be producing. So you producing 1 product or you producing 1,000 products, that fixed cost stays the same. So the rent, the salaries, all of these will stay the same. However, the more you produce, the more inventory you're going to have to get, the more raw material you will have to get, and that will be fluctuating, and this is called the variable cost. The total cost is therefore the addition, the sum of the variable and the fixed cost. There are considerations that goes again hand in hand with the question of quantity, which is the economies of scale, which is related to the fact that the more you will produce, the more inventory you will produce, the lower the cost of each one of these inventory, because essentially you are buying a larger quantity and you're getting discounts for the raw material that you're buying, but at the same time also is you're reducing the cost of each one of the goods by reducing the weight, the overall weight, the percentage proportion weight of your fixed costs by having a larger purchases and larger production. The experience curve is different in the sense that with more experiences, you become better at producing. So if you have, if you're starting a business and you don't have much experience, you make mistakes that eventually you learn from and you become better at doing it. If people are more trained, if people are more used to work with each other, there's some kind of experience curve that happens, and therefore you become more efficient. If you have more older people that have worked in this company, as they become more efficient and they are not in the learning curve to find out how to do it, and there's more routines and quality controls with these people than the people that are just starting, that you have to spend time training. So, and a very important example is the use of junior salespeople versus the use of more experienced salespeople who will be going to the essential much faster, and they will cut corners and be more efficient in making their sales because they have developed a relationship with the distribution network with the clients, and therefore they would have more of a relation that allows them to understand the needs of the clients and also to understand how to communicate and when to communicate with these clients because they know what to do. If you're someone who's just starting, you'll be making a lot of mistakes at the beginning, and it will take time for you to build this relationship. So the more you have experienced people working in your company, the more experience curve and the more efficient you will be at building and creating products. You also have another function of the quantity, which is the price in terms of quantity is the more the price change as being lower, the more you usually have an increase of demand. And so this is called the elasticity of the demand, is the change of the demand changes with the prices, and the lower the price, the more people are buying the product. Other consideration is the fact that you have to understand that as a business, you will try to maximize your profit, you will try to increase the price, but as a consumer, the perception is you want to maximize your value, which is you want to maximize what you can get, the benefit, and the lower the price that you can get. So what are the 4 methods of calculating a price? The first one, which is the simplest one, is the cost-based pricing, which is essentially using a markup in order to define what is the price. So you have the costs, and to simplify is you multiply the cost by the percentage of markup that you want to apply to this product. So if you have a product that's costing $1 and you want a 20% markup, is you will multiply this dollar by 20%, and if it's $2 and if it's $50, everything gets multiplied by 20%. This is the simplest one. It's very much a method of someone who is in accounting. However, it's so simplistic that you may be missing some opportunities. The next one, the break-even, is the method that is more favored by people that are more into finance, because in this situation, you're looking at some kind of profit that you want to make, and in terms of percentage of profit margin, but also in terms of the amount of profit that you want to make. And this is the method that is most appropriate when you have investors or when you're trying to get investors. So the investor is going to invest a certain amount of money, and they want to know when they will make a return on their investment. You can actually, through a graph, measure the amount of, based on their investment, the projection of the type of the amount of product that they would have to, the company would have to sell. And based on this projection of the amount of products is when they will make a return. And then you can make some fine changes to see if they could be making a faster return by selling more products with a better investment or a greater investment. So the graph is really showing the break-even point, which is that when with the number of units being produced, when will you be starting to make a profit? And then as the number of products being sold, you will see that the profit will keep on growing. And all of this can be sort of looking at what's realistic based on the investment, based on the company's resources, based on the past performance, based on some market indicators, what is most likely to happen. Obviously, this is not a pure science. It's all based on projection, but it is mathematically constructed, and it offers more of more objective, it's not 100% objective, but more objective view of what's the likelihood of the investor to get a return on their investment. This is a very common technique used in the program called Shark Tank. And this is very important to understand that this is a very powerful way to discuss a business with investors, and also to look at it yourself, making projections when you're making plans of the best strategic decision and the best activities to run your business in order to reach this profit as soon as possible. Value-based pricing is a method that this time is not looking at the internally or looking at externally, looking at investors. It's looking at externally to the most important person in the market, which is the consumer. And it's looking at what are the benefits that the consumer will get from buying this product, and what are the perceived benefits that they would get. And you will try to analyze these perceptions and see the value of these perceptions and put it in terms of how much just noticeable difference there would be, how much improvements, innovation this product would have, and this compared to what's existing at the time on your competitor's product. So you make a point that the more you are unique, the more you're differentiated, and the more this is needed by the consumer, and the more they perceive that this is better, the higher you will be able to create a price which is higher. So in contrast, you can see that the cost-based pricing goes from looking at the product and then looking at the costs and adding a markup. You can define what will be the price for the customers, versus the value-based pricing is actually starting from the customers, and it is the customers that define what the price is. So the danger with the cost-based pricing is that you sell it too low and you could have sold it for much more. The danger with the value-based pricing is that you will actually sell it more than what the customer wants. So you have to make sure that you're not just adding a percentage and this percentage just seems reasonable. It's always reasonable if it's something that makes sense to the customers. Competition-based pricing is this time looking at something totally different, is looking at what your competitors are doing and imagining that based on what your competitors are doing, you have a chance to also be successful. So it is somewhat dangerous in the sense that the competitors may have different costs, and therefore you may be making no money by following what the competitors do. Another danger is the competitors may be making a mistake where they are not analyzing well, or they're missing an opportunity to maximize the perceived value, and the consumers are actually able to buy for much more than what the competitors sell. So it is oftentimes done when there is a strategy which consists at competing against someone very specific, and that's the strategy. It's a challenger strategy, or it's a follower type of strategy. Or it's supposedly a competitor type of strategy. It can also be used because you can actually use all of these methods in order to define your prices. And I think that's my recommendation. All of these methods have pros and cons, and therefore using more than one method really improved the chances of you developing a good price. So to take away is that there are internal and external factors to determine what method you should be using based on your resources and the situation of your company in the market. There are 4 general approaches to setting the price: the cost-based pricing, the break-even pricing, the value-based pricing, and looking at your competitors' prices. And again, I think if there was one that only that you were going to use, that would not be good. But if there was only just one and you were forced to use one, to the simple question, which is which one is the best? If there was one that is the best, I would say is the value-based pricing, but it requires some very good research, and you have to be very confident in the research that you're getting, because you could be making some mistakes. And that's why I think the best combination is to start from the value-based pricing and then use the other one to have additional research and projections to see and adjust the value-based pricing based on the overall strategy of the company and the long-term vision of how your prices will affect. Because pricing have a direct incidence on people perception of the quality of your products. So you also want to make sure that you don't want to start using a method and changing your methods and changing your pricing all the time. Changing your pricing all the time, if it's within a promotion program, it's okay. But if it's changing your prices all the time because you keep changing the methods and you change your pricing because you have a different strategic vision on what are your prices too often, that's when it's very confusing for the customers. And not only for the customers, but it's going to be confusing for your channel of distribution, which are not going to like to support this kind of businesses that are changing their pricing all the time. This concludes my presentation. Bye-bye.